Florida State, LSU tonight, 7:30 Eastern, the only game on tonight in prime time, that is. I cannot wait for this one. We've talked about it a lot. We've talked about big factors. We've talked about our prediction. I want to just break down what it's going to take for each side to win the football game. Sort of a Florida State wins if, fill in the blank, LSU wins if, fill in the blank. Really quickly, though, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count, because we're live Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern. We've had a ton of our LSU faithful come join the party. A lot of the Florida State people, a lot of the good people in Tallahassee come join the party and subscribe. So if you haven't yet, make sure you're locked in. Regardless of who you're a fan of, we're probably going to talk about your team. If you're a fan of college football, period, this is the spot, because we talk college football every single day, all year round. So we appreciate you being a part of this, appreciate you locking in. So I want to make this very clear. This will be a battle. I do not expect this to be different from last year's game in the sense that I think it comes down to the final play. I think it comes down to, obviously, in that sense, then a one-score kind of game. And I think if these teams were to play 10 times, I could see them splitting and going 5-5. So that's not me trying to ride the fence here. I just think that speaks volumes to how good both these teams are. And regardless of the result, both teams will have a lot of what they want to do in front of them, if not all they want to do in front of them. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't impact both teams tremendously and doesn't impact the college football playoff race, but even so, wanted to go on record there and make sure we say that. Both these teams going to be really freaking good. Okay, so let's start this off with a bang now. Florida State, what do they need to do to win the football game? Florida State wins this game if, offensively, those wide receivers are just the ultimate ace up the sleeve. We've talked about the height a lot for these guys, with Johnny Wilson being 6'7", Keon Coleman being 6'4", 6'3", Jaheim Bell, big body, Kyle Morlock, big body. Like, they've got a lot of guys that have that go up and get it factor among those pass catchers, wide receivers, and tight ends alike. But the wide receiver room especially is that glaring matchup if you're Jordan Travis and Mike Norvell. Because LSU now breaking in likely two cornerbacks that are transfers. So not only have they not been in this defense very much, they're also transferring, one from the FCS level, one played in the ACC at Syracuse, but now playing in this SEC defense. It could be an acclimation period for them. So if I'm Jordan Travis and company, I am finding out about them early, often, and consistently. And you may not have every single matchup if you're Florida State. You don't have every single matchup if you're LSU. But this is the one matchup that I think you can really exploit if you're Florida State. Regardless of the pick in this game, I think Florida State has a big day throwing the football. Now, if you're Matt House, you know you're going to try and dial it up. You know he's one of the best schemers in college football when it comes to the defensive side of the football as the DC at LSU. My question is, does it matter? Because it's the X's and the O's to a degree, but even more so, man, it is the Jimmies and the Joes. And the Jimmies and Joes in that wide receiver room for Florida State, special. Do they just decide this game? There's a very real chance they could. And so that is the Florida State wins if those wide receivers are the difference makers and the dominators. Now, defensively, Florida State wins the football game if they limit Jaden Daniels when he runs the football. Last year, Jaden Daniels in this game had over 100 yards rushing. And the thing with quarterbacks that are mobile like Jaden Daniels, you can have the perfect play dialed up as a defense. You could have the exact right blitz. We got a boundary corner coming on a cat blitz. He doesn't see it. They don't have the protection set. At the last second, though, he makes one 6-inch movement, gets out of the way. The blitz misses. And then at that point in time, that play is done. The play that you had dialed up, the play that LSU had dialed up, those are both thrown out. Then a new play starts. Then Jaden Daniels probably extends the play, keeps his eyes downfield, has a chance to take off and run. Maybe it's a first down. So plays like that you want to avoid as much as possible. It goes without saying. The legs of Jaden Daniels could be a game plan breaker for Florida State. But if you make him be one-dimensional and say, Jaden Daniels, you have to beat us throwing the football. We're taking away one element of your game and one element of your game that you really do extremely well. If they can do that, I think that gives them a very good chance to win the football game. So that's the Florida State side of things. Limit the offense, limit Jaden Daniels offensively, what he does with his legs. And then offensively for you, get it to your skyscrapers on the outside. Can they be the differentiating factor? Now for LSU, LSU wins this football game if offensively it is a group effort running the football. We just talked about Jayden Daniels, what he did last year, over 100 yards rushing. That's great. The running back room, though, last year did not help at all running the football in this game. And what that does to a defense, when you have multiple players that can run the football, whether it's the quarterback position and the running back position, wide receiver room, maybe they get involved in some jet sweeps. We're not really going to talk about that right now. For that whole specific game plan, it makes it very difficult for that defensive line to key on just one player. Like, I would expect them to do a lot of zone read stuff with Jared Verse because you want to try and limit his impact as much as possible. And if they can be dynamic in the run game, can be multiple in the run game, then we get to involve that pass game a little bit more, because at that point in time, Florida State will try and commit more numbers to stopping the run game. And when they do that, then Jayden Daniels has a chance to show off what he's been working on all offseason and stretch the ball a little bit more downfield, and big plays happen. The reason why you feel better about this, if you're an LSU fan, the offensive line is substantially more improved than it was a season ago where you were at going into this game. Last year, it was like, hey, I don't know what we're going to get on the offensive line. A lot of dudes playing football for the first time in an LSU uniform. Now, though, you feel like that could be a strength of this football team. Defensively, the question and what will allow you to win this football game, in my mind, is how frequently you get home. We talked about it on the Florida State side of things. You have some wide receivers. If you're Florida State, you feel good about getting the football to. You know how you stop that whole matchup from even happening? Is if Harold Perkins gets home frequently. If you're able to create pressure with that defensive line, if you dial up the right blitzes and are able to make him see ghosts, make him uncomfortable, and heck, even better, get to his launch point before he can even let it go. That, I think, is going to be enormously important for LSU to win this football game. If they can stop that matchup from even happening, then LSU will have an enormous advantage in this football game, and expect Matt House to dial it up early and dial it up often. Can't wait for that one. So, as a whole now for LSU, can you get home? Is the run game a group effort? But to zoom out a little bit more to talk about both teams here, this is a course-setting game for both LSU and Florida State. The roadmap for each team will be determined based on how they play in this game. I'm not saying that whatever they want to do is off the table if you lose, but for LSU, a loss makes that climb to a college football playoff berth extremely difficult because you got to go through the rest of the SEC. For Florida State, if you lose this game, you still have Clemson, and you still have to play in the ACC title game should you end up getting there. So the road becomes a little bit rocky for both teams. Now, a win for either team, you have your mulligan saved for somewhere else in the regular season, and you also have an extremely quality win on that resume when it comes to Selection Sunday. And if it's down to you and another team, you have, oh, well, LSU beat Florida State, or, oh, well, Florida State beat LSU. It's a nice feather in your cap to secure week one. Regardless, though, I cannot wait to watch it. I promise you, as soon as this game ends, we will talk about it. So do not miss out on all the content we got coming for you around this game and around the entire college football season as a whole. Make sure you are subscribed. We got full hour-long episodes of The Hard Count on the On3 YouTube channel. We also have them in podcasts, wherever you get it. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find this show. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.